My name's Gemma Milne. I'm co-founder of an organisation called ScienceDisrupt, and we're all about hosting discussions and showcasing the innovators, iconoclasts and entrepreneurs that are intent in creating change in science. Myself and my co-founder Lawrence, we created ScienceDisrupt back in April this year. My background, I work in tech innovation for an advertising company. That's what I used to do. So I spent a lot of time going to startup events, going to tech conferences all over the world, basically going to these collaborative environments, meeting people who are all about innovating, doing things differently and learning about how they go about doing that. Lawrence, on the other hand, is a PhD researcher at UCL, so he's kind of in the thick of it in terms of seeing what it's like on the front lines of being a scientist. And we used to just have a lot of discussions around, well, why don't you have evening events for scientists in the same way that you do for tech startups, and why don't you have the same sort of collaborative atmosphere as you do within a tech company, or why aren't corporates more involved, why is the funding so slow? And I guess it was kind of my looking in from my perspective of sort of tech startup land and going, wow, why is this so inefficient? And Lawrence looking into sort of tech startup land and going, why isn't science more like that? We felt that the way the tech industry had kind of advanced was through collaboration, through people talking more openly about this stuff. And we didn't see the same thing happening in science. People don't openly talk about how to really change science, not in the same way as it happens with tech. So we wanted to create that sort of movement. I think what we have done that's been very successful that nobody else is really doing is bringing lots of different people into one room that is created conversations which will help move science faster. And then second to all of that, we also have a Slack group. So for anyone who hasn't used Slack before, it's basically a messaging platform for large groups of people. It's kind of like a cross between email, WhatsApp and Facebook, I guess. So you can create communities on Slack, you can invite however many people, you can create channels for different discussion topics. So we've got one on science disruption, we have a channel on events, we have a channel specifically about personalised health, we have a channel for people who are looking for people, and that's a place for this whole community who have either come to our events, who sign up to our newsletter, who listen to our podcast. Anyone can get involved with the Slack group. And that's right, I think from our perspective, we believe that collaboration is key. So we kind of believe that by sort of being able to pull these different people together, being able to connect even just two people in one town might make a massive difference. And we've had people come up to us at the end of our events, people on the Slack saying, oh, I would never have come across that person, or I would never have come across that idea, or I didn't know that scheme existed, nobody's told me about that before and I don't understand why, because it's extremely relevant. But because what we're doing is pulling all these people together who all have the same goal at the end of the day, which is how can I actually go about doing something differently, or how can I actually change the world, or how can I actually advance science? Because that's all in common with all these people, it makes it so much easier to collaborate. And sometimes, we've seen throughout history, it's the weirdest collaborations that end up being the most fruitful. But there's no we're not very good at organising spontaneity within science, as sort of oxymoronish as that sounds. But that's kind of what we're trying to do, is get these sort of random-ish people in a room who would never normally meet and go, guys, talk about what you're doing, talk about the stuff that's been on stage, talk about your hopes and dreams, talk about the startup that you're trying to launch, and maybe, just maybe, you'll meet someone and that'll be able to come about.